What I suggest to people who want to start a business, particularly Filipino migrants, is know your why you want to start a business. Okay. Once you know your why, you have the passion to start that business. I always recommend to seek a consultant, a business consultant, to go through the process of setting up a business. The mentorship comes when you're already in business. So you started it up and you just want somebody to mentor you. Because starting a business, that journey is so exciting if you know what you're doing, right? Because sometimes too we lose focus because we're just so keen in starting our business, opening the doors. So we're so excited about that. We tend to forget the other compliances that you do.
Hello everyone, kamusta? Magandang umaga, magandang hapon, or good evening wherever you are in a part of the world. And please welcome po sa ating another episode ng Positively Filipino. So if you are new to the show, maraming salamat at nakikinig kayo at nanonood kayo. For this episode, we're talking about business. As a Filipino migrant like me, ano ba yung and kasi some people saying lagi nilang puro trabaho, 9 to 5. Paano kung gusto mo maging entrepreneur? Hindi ka masisit lang dito sa sa normal hours. O ay, talagang sa ngayon, ba matutuwa kayo dahil isang eksperto sa business. At ano ba yung mga paraan ng isang kung gusto mo mapunta sa negosyo, kailangan ba nating maraming pera? Kailangan ba nating maganda yung iniisip natin? Well, pag-uusapan din natin yan. At makakasama po natin today on our show, Positively Filipino, ay si Alex Apawan Sy of Atlas Business Consulting Services. Ito ay located po sa Melbourne. So kung kayo taga Melbourne, email nyo po, tawagan nyo po si Alex, matutulungan po kayo niyan. But Alex will give us all the details of his business to contact them in the near future. And as I said, welcome to the show, Alex. How are you today po?
Miko, hello, magandang umaga, hapon, or good evening, or how Australians would say, g'day.
Good day. Happy New Year din
Eh,
po pala, Alex. Happy New Year
Happy New Year.
2025.
It's 2025, how time flies. So, Miko, I've been in Australia since 1976, and it's now to 2025, and I still love Australia, but I still love being a Filipino. I still love to travel to the Philippines because there are still so many unexplored areas that I want to explore in the Philippines. So slowly, that's on my bucket list to really explore Philippines.
Oh, that's nice. Wow, ang
Mm,
tagal niyo na po pala dito, Sir Alex. So,
yeah, so that's right. And because when I arrived in Australia, I was as a teenager with mom and dad, and tapos, that's where I did my schooling. I did my university, and I did my career. So, and that's why over 45 years of business experience and having run my own businesses, that's why I decided to share that knowledge and experience sa mga kababayans or anyone who's really in business at the moment and who wants a bit of mentoring. So I'm more focusing on the mentor side of things than being a business coach.
that's good. Mukhang kailangan ko
Mm.
yung mentoring na yan,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, this you'll be amazed at the different portfolio of clients that I have from different industries because business is really holistic in a way, kahit whatever industry you're in. Because the purpose of the business is really, of course, to make money for yourself and to have a living out of it. How you're going to get there has a different processes, and that's why the consulting and the mentoring side of things it's so important for business owners.
Thank you so much for that. So you've been here since teenager, and what you before we go on the business side of it, how's is
Mhm.
your journey from the Philippines to here during that time?
Oh,
Because you said you're teenagers, and uh,
yeah.
some Filipino now here or Filipino born here, sometimes
Mm,
they don't know how to speak the Tagalog one or the Bisaya one. But
mm.
you've been here for a long time, but you still can speak Bisaya and Tagalog as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kasi our mother tongue, because you surround yourself with Filipino friends around with you. I do have Australian friends and other nationalities, but predominantly within the Filipino community, dito, you because you speak the language, you speak the Tagalog or in Cebuano, So, but the transition coming to Australia was very hard. As a teenager, of course, you have your friends in the Philippines. You uproot yourself to come to Australia, and every migrant would experience this: the sense of loneliness, adjustment, trying to have a culture shock, and trying to understand the language, even the spelling. Because in the Philippines, our spelling is towards American standard. Here, it's British. So it was hard for me to, how can I say, adapt during high school because of course, we have English as a second language in the Philippines. We bring it here, but it's an American tone English as opposed to an Australian British English in a way. So it was a lot of adjustment, a lot of crying, a lot of loneliness. But at the end of the day, it's how you adapt and assimilate to the Australian standard, Australian culture. And Australian culture is beautiful. And Australians in itself, they are a very curious people. So in high school, my first year high school, I was the only Asian kid in the whole class. Can you imagine that? So all my friends were white, Anglo-Saxon. So I had to make two choices. One, either stay in the corner and don't talk to anyone, or assimilate. And I choose to be assimilate. So I still have friends to this day that were my friends in high school. So and that's how I always encourage new migrants to coming to Melbourne is to assimilate. Assimilate to the Australians, talk to them. Don't be afraid because Australians are the most loving, caring people, and they're curious, and they will help you. And a lot of my school friends during that time really helped me and helped me understand the language, the slang, the lingo, the meanings. So it was really good. And as you know, in the Philippines, your lunchbox, you bring your lunch to school, and it's got rice, it's got fish, adobo, pancit, right? So imagine that lunchbox here when I first started in high school, and Australians said, "Oh, what is that?" So I explained to them, rice is a staple diet for the Filipinos. Adobo is one of the best dishes in the Philippines. And they were curious and they started to taste, right? And they were loving it. So, and that's why I encourage migrants, particularly Filipino migrants, it's okay to share. It's okay to assimilate. It's okay to be great friends with Australians because they're wonderful people.
Nice. Yeah, I totally
Mm-mm.
agree with that. Yeah, they're very good on with other nationality as well.
Mm.
Punta natin yung question about paano nagsimula itong pagiging mentor, itong Atlas Business Consulting Services. Is that
Sure.
through your journey being a migrant here that started it?
I started my consulting business at the start of COVID 2020. So I had a full time job. I had a very senior role in a company, and I was looking after 60 staff. COVID hit, and that company, I was the general manager. and we were supplying to the hospitality industry, to the restaurants. Of course, COVID, restaurants closed. So I was made redundant. I had another job to go to, pero my passion has always been to help other business owners. So I said to myself, I have 45 years experience in me. I used to run my own businesses. How can I use this experience and knowledge to help others and become better themselves, right? So I started Atlas Business Consulting and Mentoring Services in March 2020. So I had one customer. So in my LinkedIn profile, when I left that company, I was made redundant. And in my LinkedIn profile, I said to everyone, "Thank you so much. I'm leaving this company, blah, blah, blah." And then one of my LinkedIn connections reached out to me and said, "Alex, I heard you're leaving. Can you help me? So can you help me in my business doing certain things? And I cannot pay you full time, but I can pay you per hour." And I said, "Oh, okay, I can do that." And to this day, that that person is still my client to this day. So, and I said, I found my passion because COVID, although it was very destructive, but it gave a lot of people great opportunities. So I always say to myself, with that calamity with COVID, what is the positive outcome out of that? So a lot of business were struggling financially, operationally, and mentally. So it was just a perfect timing that I started my own consultancy company and organically grew from there. So I'm into my fifth year now, and I love what I'm doing because I'm passionate in what I'm doing. I'm passionate helping people grow, their businesses grow, and especially people who are starting a business. They've got a great idea, but they don't know how to start. They cannot navigate their way through. What should I do? And there's a lot of mistakes people make because they don't seek advice from anyone. That's why I say to people, when you start a business, always seek help in what to do, whether it be from your company setup, your structure, your foundation, your systems, your compliance, things like that that people overlook. And I want to make sure we're trying to minimize the risk of doing.
Yeah, tama ka diyan. Because in Australia, masyado silang mahigpit sa mga business setups, your legal and compliance. Unlike
Yeah.
sa Pilipinas,
You can
well,
have a sari-sari store next
yeah,
door.
yeah. But here is they are very compliance,
Yeah,
legal,
very,
everything.
very regulated. Yeah,
True,
which
true.
is good, which is really good, particularly food business. They're very regulated and heavily compliance because it's food. And for me, that is a good thing. The more strict they are, the better it is for because you are risking public health.
That's right. That's
And
right.
that's what I was impost on Filipinos because they during COVID, a lot of Filipinos to get by started side hustles like cooking from home, right? Which is great. There was a blossoming of home-based businesses, but most of them were not registered. And I always say to them, register your business with a local council, make it right so that you can sleep peacefully at night, right?
Yeah,
So that no one can just say, "Oh, I can see so and so very successful, but doesn't have a license. I might isusubong tika sa council," right? And unfortunately, we Filipinos are good at that, right? So we see somebody successful, oh, masyado successful na. Oh, kahit walang lisensya. Oh, I might tell them to the council. It's an unfortunate trait, and um, and that's why I always say to people, do it legally, then you have peaceful nights.
I agree on that. So, since 2025 now, 2025 na, Alex, so ano ba yung nakikita mong, say, trending na business for Filipino migrant or Filipino na they thinking to be an entrepreneur? Ano ba yung mga
Yeah.
trending natin sa 2025?
Miko, once in Melbourne, once COVID lifted in October 2021, in the first 3 months of that, I had 5 Filipinos starting their own restaurants in Filipino cafes. And that trend is continuing. Because these could be international students who studied commercial cookery, work in a restaurant, work in a hotel, work somewhere else, and they've gained so much experience, save up some money, because during COVID you cannot go anywhere. Just save up money, you can still keep working. And next thing you know, they want to realize their dream of owning a business. So since COVID was lifted until now, I think I've established close to nearly 40 food businesses from Filipino migrants, right? And that is good because it shows their passion and it shows their commitment to promote Filipino cuisine. So in Melbourne, the Filipino cuisine, it's really elevating now. We have some great chefs opening restaurants. Tapos we have great Filipino chefs in high positions in hotels, clubs, restaurants, mainstream places like the Melbourne Cricket Ground, for example. We have the executive chef, a Filipino, right? We have one of the top, how can I say, dining restaurants in Melbourne, Eureka 89. We have a Filipina executive chef. So Filipinos out there, it's really lifting their image of being a good chef. Tapos the restaurants they open, the Filipino restaurants they open, has really elevated Filipino cuisine. So that's one thing that I see it's been trending. The other industry that I've seen trending really well is personal caregivers, NDIS service. And I've seen a lot of Filipino entrepreneurs, and they used to be nurses, right? And they can see more sustainable and potential having a business in personal caregivers and within the NDIS landscape. Once again, you set up your business to make it compliant to the NDIS standard, and most of them are getting very successful. Right? And that's one thing I love Filipinos, particularly one thing I've noticed too. I was in Sydney in November and doing a workshop on to our Filipino entrepreneurs, and most of those Filipino business owners, entrepreneurs, are the young generation. It was so good, so uplifting to see that this young Filipino generation is having a go, meaning starting up their own business. Some are selling groceries. Some are selling barong and mestiza dresses. There was one young guy setting up his own air conditioning repairs and service. He's got a team of people. So this is how I was so how can I say happy to see a lot of Philippine entrepreneurs getting out there and starting their own business. And that trend is continuing, especially in Melbourne as well.
So, basta masipag ka lang and then sipagan
Yeah,
mo at dasal mo.
that's true too. And each time, how can I say? Each time a client comes to me and I said, "Kuya Alex, I want to start a business." The first question I ask is, "What is the purpose of starting a business? What is your purpose?" And most people say, "I want to make lots of money." And I said, "Well, that's the wrong purpose. That's the wrong why, because that's an outcome of your action. So your purpose is your passion. And let's say, for example, a lot of Filipino chefs starting up their own restaurants because they have the passion for cooking. They have the passion to showcase what they can do to mainstream Australians. They love giving out great food. They love watching people enjoy their food, right? They don't, and they push the boundaries to elevate Filipino cuisine. That's passion, and as an outcome for that is you make some money out of that. So when I started my consultancy business, my why or purpose in starting was, I want to help small businesses grow and remain sustainable. That's my purpose.
Okay, tama. I remember yung binasa kong one of my um idol na author is Simon Sinek. So
Yes,
I read
correct.
his book.
Yep.
The thing, yeah, why you
It
started
starts with a
this.
why.
Start with the
Yeah,
why. So that's one of
start
the,
with a why.
I think, one of the best book if you are thinking of getting started as an entrepreneur, because there's a lot of actionable on that book. So Alex,
Exactly.
so are there any Filipino business network and community organization or support group that can help, say, me build connection in Australia if you are into being an entrepreneur or getting started in the business?
There are different Filipino business networking network here, particularly in Melbourne. There's probably about two or three. In Sydney, there's Pinoy Entrepreneurs Australia. In Melbourne, it's called Pinoy Entrepreneurs. So it's just a group of small business people. There's not a group which is more multicultural business people. But the most networking groups you can see is with your local council. With the local council, they have business network, not just Filipinos but other nationalities as well within your area. So that's a great way to network and leverage from one another. How how to help yourself in starting a business? That networking group is good, right? But the council and the state government also gives out programs that can help you start a business, particularly local councils. Local councils, particularly in Melbourne, they have a what do you call it? How to start a business program. So if you live within the local area, the local council, they normally have a 3-month course about if you want to start a business. I know that because I do a few of those workshops, right, for the local council. So the local council provides it for free. So it's a good way for you to connect with your local council to find out what free programs are out there if you want to start a business.
Thank you so much for that, Alex.
Mhm.
Last question is, if I'm thinking to be starting a business, what is your advice to this Filipino migrant? Do I need a mentor? Do I need a consultant to guide me in my business journey?
What I suggest to people who want to start a business, particularly Filipino migrants, is know your why you want to start a business. Okay. Once you know your why, you have the passion to start that business. I always recommend to seek a consultant, a business consultant, to go through the process of setting up a business. The mentorship comes when you're already in business. So you started it up and you just want somebody to mentor you. Because starting a business, that journey is so exciting if you know what you're doing, right? Because sometimes too we lose focus because we're just so keen in starting our business, opening the doors. So we're so excited about that. We tend to forget the other compliances that you do. For example, what company structure should I have? Should I get an ABN? Should I register for GST? Should I set up my structure as company Pty Limited or a partnership or a sole trader? So that's why it's so important to talk to a business consultant that can guide you, because it depends on the type of business you do. You may not need to set up a company Pty Limited structure. You may not need to register with GST, but you do need to register for an ABN. So registering an ABN, it's simple. You can do that online on the internet as long as you have a tax file number. So even international students who's got an Australian tax file number can set up a business in Australia as long as you're over 18 years old. Right? So even if you're a temporary resident, as long as you're a holder of a Australian tax file number, you can apply for an ABN. You can start a business. Right? So once again, it all depends what sort of business you want to go into. It depends. So there's a lot of licenses that you need to require or insurance that you need when you start a business. Let's say, for example, you want to start a restaurant. So there's a lot of licenses and compliance that goes with that. So you need a council approval, planning approval. You need to ensure that you have a food safety program. There's a lot of multitude of licenses to ensure you can open your restaurant successfully. Right? And that's why a business consultant can guide you. If you cannot find a business consultant, talk to somebody. Let's say if you want to start a restaurant, talk to a restaurant owner. So how did you start your business? Right? What sort of things I need to know to start one up? So I always talk to somebody who's walked down that path before to get some sort of knowledge. Right? And it's important to do that. And then from that, you look at your cost of setting up the business to make sure you don't overcapitalize yourself, or to make sure you have enough money to sustain the business when you open up. Because a lot of people say, I want to start a business, but I don't have any money. Well, I said to them, come back to me when you do have money, because to start a business, you need to invest. And when you do invest that money, you want to make sure it's protected and you had return on investment. So, and those are the key components of starting a business from that. And after that, find a good accountant. Finding a good accountant that can help you manage the business side of things of accounting and bookkeeping and your tax liability. I cannot advise people on tax because I'm not a certified accountant. I do have an accounting background, but I'm not a certified accountant, so I cannot advise on tax matters and things like that. That's why I always say to people, to my clients, find a good accountant. And there's some great accountants out there that can help you. And then from that, you can look at the way how you want to market and brand your business. What are sort of marketing strategy you want to put in place? And I've got a marketing background as well, so I can help and guide people the most effective way. When I started my consulting business, I just used Facebook, right? So, and the Facebook community in Melbourne called Pinoys in Melbourne has a very good following, and a lot of Filipino startups go through Pinoys in Melbourne to promote their business. It's such a great platform and a great advocacy. The administrators of that Facebook page to allow Filipinos advertise their goods and services. It's a great platform. So you find those things that's not going to cost you a lot of money, and then you build your business from there.
Thank you so much. Very well said, Alex. So, marami kami natutunan for this episode. So sa mga nakikinig at
Okay.
nanonood, hopefully you learn a lot sa episode na ito. So, Alex, if someone want to contact you and want to
Hmm.
have a chat with you about being a mentor or business
Hmm.
consultant, how they can contact you?
Sure. I've got a Facebook page. It's called Atlas Business Consulting Services. So that's my Facebook page, or you can find me on my website, which is www.atlasbusiness.consulting, or you can email me at info@atlasbusiness.consulting. Or you can search for me in my LinkedIn. I've got a LinkedIn profile under Alex C. So there's a lot of ways you can find me. You can Google search and find Atlas Business Consulting Services.
Thank you so much for that. Don't worry sa mga listener natin tsaka sa mga nanonood ngayon. I'll put all the link on our show notes, ang detail ni Alex para puntahan nyo rin. Maraming salamat Alex sa time na ipinagkaloob mo sa araw na ito, and hopefully we'll see you again in a future episode.
Miko, thank you so much for this opportunity and allowing me to share my skills and knowledge, and hopefully that will help a lot of our kababayans out there who wish to have a business for themselves. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Alex Apawan Sy of Atlas Business Consulting Services. Siya po ay based in Melbourne, Australia. Maraming salamat. Ito po si Miko Santos para sa ng episode ng Positively Filipino. So don't forget to subscribe to our site. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.